Welcome back to Lighting Up Customs. Today's episode entails a story about a very specific car. So the story begins with a message from a friend called Darren saying, you might know Darren, he has the 306. And Darren says, hey Joe, have you seen this raffle that's going on? So I say, what raffle? And he sends me a link, and there's a lovely little CITROEN X, nice green in colour, up for raffle, £15 a ticket. There's only 26 tickets sold. The man needed to sell 40 tickets. Darren said, how do you fancy it? Well, as everyone who knows me knows, Stu is straight all over that like you wouldn't believe. I said, yeah, I'd love a little go of it. Darren said, well, I'm going to buy me a ticket and I'm going to buy you a ticket. And I thought, hey, you know, that's fantastic. I couldn't wish for much more than that. I thanked Darren for the ticket, and Darren for me said, would you like number 28 or 29? And we picked my wife's age, we picked 29. And then we sat and waited. And during this period of time, I had to make a trip to London. My cousin was boxing. That was a full and different event. It was absolutely phenomenal. We were at the O2 Arena. Great time. So I'm down in London and I'm partying away with the family and whatnot. And I get a phone call off Darren. Hey, Joe. I said, yeah. He said, oh, I've only went and won that car. I thought, fuck. God, trust us to pick the wrong ticket, eh? I said to Darren had let us know that he was planning on selling it if he got it. I said, I'll tell you what, I'll give you X amount for it. Relatively fair value for it. It was a good deal. And Darren said, no, I want more out of it. I'm going to have to sell it to someone else. I said, all right. Anyway, I got a phone call in the subsequent day to say Darren had found his buyer. Another guy who'd already bought the ticket for the raffle had been in touch, and he'd bought the car. So, I mean, it was unfortunate, but sometimes this is the way the cookie crumbles. Now, it's fair to let everyone know here that I am very good at catching lies out in stories, and I'm very good at spotting a crack in a story when something goes wrong. I'm on that like a rat, you know, I can figure it out. And this is fair to say, this story, I had my pants pulled right down. I'd been in touch with Darren, and I let Darren know that I wasn't too happy. I said, you sold it for more money, but you didn't even offer me it at that price, and that's an unfair thing to do to your friend. And people need calling out if they do unfair things. I'm a very big believer in that. I'm quite a disagreeable human. If things need saying, I'm prepared to say them. So I'd let Darren know, and Darren took that on the chin, and he agreed and apologised for it. And I suppose as long as he understood where I stood and moving forward, everything was going to be all right. And I'd spoke to the wife about it. I said, it's what a bugger's trick to do to her, isn't that? So I started heading off back up north, and I had a 7.5 hour journey up north, and on the way I'm chewing over what's gone on with this CITROEN, and things don't seem too right, you know. I'm not 100% quite happy with the situation. And I get home, I get in the house, and I'm happy to get my own bed and my own food. And the wife says to me, will you take me down the garage? During all of this, Darren had swapped a couple of cars about in my garage, so Darren had left, my wife had been in the garage to drop Darren's keys off and left a bag of shopping while she was there. So will you take me down the garage for my bag of shopping? And I'd said categorically no. It was 7.5 hours drive I'd done that day. I never got out the car, never stopped. There was a crash on the A1, likely a fatality. They shut the A1 down. I was in traffic for a long time. I said, I don't want to get back in the car, I just want to go to bed. I had a film on. I was happy to be home. So the wife's niggling away at me, saying, yeah, I want to go back to the garage. Take me to the garage. I said, all right. Well, during all of this, I then started convincing myself that I didn't want the car for starters. It had a rusty wing. One of the wings was black. It needed a bit of paint. It only has 4 gears. I mean, it's a classic vehicle. These are things that you'd expect to have to deal with a classic vehicle. But I'd started convincing myself that the car wasn't even worth having. We get down to the garage, me and the wife, and I open the garage, and as I'm opening the garage, I'm facing with my back towards the shutter, and the wife's smaller than me. I'm 6'6", so I'm considerably taller than the wife, 5 foot something. And I'm opening the garage door with my key, looking away from the garage, and it gets to her head height, which isn't my head height, and I stop. She bobs under the shutter, and I give her 5 minutes, and I'm stood waiting, still haven't looked in the garage, and I turned around and said, have you got what we come for? She said, yeah. I said, well, come on then, it's late on the night, I'm sick. And then she says, well, just pop in for a minute. And when I pop in, I realise that there's a car in the garage, what wasn't there when I left. And I said something along the lines of, me knowing that he'd sold it, I said, well, you can think he's storing that here while someone picks it up, because that's unfair. And when the wife smiled, I started to realise where I'd been had, and Darren ultimately sold it to my wife at a very reasonable rate whilst I was away. Played a little joke on me, little bit of an early birthday present. Well, quite a lot of an early birthday present. I retracted everything that I'd possibly could have said negative about the car. The car's amazing. It's a great little car, and I'm really over the moon with it. So I'll give you a little whirl around the car then. There will be a proper video to follow up, but that's the story of how I got pranked. I mean, a good prank, all the same. I'm not moaning about it. It was a one to take on the chin, and it made me realise that maybe the old defences aren't impenetrable. Do you know, I'm getting older now, so maybe I have to work on the old mental strength.